Hey guys, welcome back to Cityscape Brewing. I'm Dennis Fields. Today we're talking about a pretty unique yeast strain that's kind of hitting the market by storm. You've probably heard about it, you've probably tasted some of it, not known it. There's a lot of different breweries that are using this type of yeast, and also it is taking homebrewers by storm because of some of the unique qualities that it has, and we're going to go through a few of them. But first, what is it and how do you pronounce it? Some people look at this, and I've heard several different versions, but the best and most appropriate one that I found is Kveik. And Kveik yeast is a Norwegian style yeast strain. It is found typically in southern and western Norway, and it has some good qualities that we're going to go through one at a time. And first is fermentation temperature, and probably the most important one for homebrewers anyway is fermentation temperature. This yeast loves heat. And everything you can think about when it comes to homebrewing in the past is kind of thrown out the door. I've done videos on the most important thing for homebrewers is to have temperature control, especially during fermentation process. And in this case, you can throw that advice and throw it out the door to some respect, because this yeast loves higher temperatures. And when we talk higher temperatures, we're talking 85 to even up to about 110 degrees Fahrenheit. And for you Celsius guys, that's about 29 to 43 degrees Celsius. And in most beers, that would ruin a beer. If you're using a standard clean ale yeast, that's going to produce all kinds of off flavors. I've left a beer in a room, in a bedroom, overnight, and it started really taking off. And that's one of the only beers I've actually had to pitch the entire keg because it had so many off flavors, it was barely drinkable. And so for this, in this case, you could do that. Say you're new to homebrewing and you've brewed during the winter months with no problem, but in the summertime, your house gets a little hotter. It's harder to keep a beer cool. In this case, you could do this in a spare bedroom, and no matter if that temperature after fermentation activity gets going and it's up in the mid 80s, that's perfect for this style of yeast. It likes being at 85 or higher in a lot of cases. I've specifically brewed with two different kinds. I've brewed with the Voss and Ebegarden, and both of them in about anywhere between 77 degrees and 85 degrees is the starting point, and then it just goes up from there. And so for folks who are new in brewing, don't have that fermentation chamber set up yet, don't have to worry about that. Loves heat. I've actually had a friend of mine who actually had to put their whole batch into a hot bathtub to get it to kind of activate, because it was kind of stuck halfway through. So when in doubt, this thing, add the heat. The second thing that makes this yeast pretty exciting is that it's a fast fermenting yeast. Some people have put other YouTube videos and other things out as saying that they've gotten this yeast to ferment out in as little as 1 day. And in my experience, that's a little fast. I think you could probably get there if it was really, really active yeast to start with. But for most people, it's really 2 to 3 days, which is still way faster than your typical 7 to 9 day range for fermentation, depending on what type of yeast you're using, and sometimes even longer than that. So 2 to 3 days, though, I've gone from start to finish. I've brewed and had it in little as 1 hour with airlock activity already. So it is no doubt that this is a fast fermenting yeast and really could shave off a few days. Say you're trying to start one weekend and have it kegged and servable by the next, very doable with a Kveik yeast. So, and the third thing that I like to bring up is it's actually the off flavors that are produced both from the heat and under pitching would be the third one. So under pitching, I make starters a lot of times for my yeast, and I do that on purpose so the yeast are healthy and ready to go, and there's no strain on those yeast, so you don't provide any off flavors. However, in this particular case, in the Kveik yeast, under pitching might actually help the flavor profile of your beer, because you can get some of those guava and floral and citrus notes going in there just because of the strain and the stress that you're putting on the yeast. And so I wouldn't really under pitch. But where you might be thinking, do I need a starter or don't I need a starter for my beer? You can err on the side of not needing one, because the off flavors would actually be beneficial in this case. So, don't fear the heat. Don't fear the off flavors produced by this, because those are what are going to be those citrus, again, floral, guava, mango type of characters. At least in the two that I've used, that's what they're used for. So the Ebergarden and the Voss are kind of clean IPAs to fruity IPA characters. And so again, I've used this twice. Once I brewed a hazy IPA and I used the Ebergarden, and it turned out amazing. I really, really like it. I would definitely use it again for a hazy. It was amazing. And then I did a traditional smash Citra beer, which is also another video on here, using the Voss Kveik Yeast. And so in this case, I would try it. It is an absolutely amazing yeast strain for people who are getting started, may not have a lot of equipment. And even for those who have been brewing for years, give it a try. It goes against everything you knew about home brewing and yeast, but so far I really like it. Am I going to use this for all my beers? No, but I also think that I will use it when I'm in a pinch, when I want to kind of replicate one of these beers I've already made, or maybe I'm rushing to get one done for a get-together we're having or something like that for over the weekend. So in this case, I would definitely give it a try. Definitely worth your time. And for those new home brewers just kind of getting into the system, you can't go wrong. It's hard to mess this one up. So with that, happy to answer any questions. Please leave any questions in the comment section below. Also check out my other videos, Learn to Homebrew. There's a whole tutorial on the all grain brewing process. I also have how to do a kettle sour if you haven't done one of those. Also, please like and subscribe my channels. Helps me get the newer content out to you faster, and it also notifies you when I post new videos. So with that, happy brewing, everybody. Hope you learned something, and we'll see you next time.